what would you say have been the really key learnings for you? Because I know that for you, a major part of your healing path has been doing, shifting the emotions and digesting that. I know that's been very traumatic for you at times in some ways, although other ways very, very healing. But really the key thing being that working in that way has made a difference where virtually everything else you tried prior to that, although it maybe brought you to the point that you were ready to shift things, hadn't ultimately shifted it. But what would you say have been maybe the 3 key lessons that you've taken?
The importance of being in a healing state. And
maybe briefly just mention a little bit about that.
Briefly mention about being in a healing state. Yeah, it's a lovely experience. Especially as you've never really been in one throughout the whole of your life, and now really understanding what one is, and being able to have that throughout life. And many people will say sort of, yeah, but it's just not realistic. It's just not practical. Life is stressful. Well, yeah, it was, but it's not now. And it's getting less and less. And as I'm doing more to my mind, and I'm changing the neural pathways in my brain, which is something that no other therapy has ever done, I'm actually getting better. That's radical, really radical. Absolutely. And I just wish I'd been told that at 16, because I didn't know what rest was. And lying on the sofa being wired out of my brain, which I was. I mean, some people might have an idea of, crikey, I don't actually feel in a healing state right now, sort of, because it's difficult, because if you've never been in a healing state, you never felt really blissfully calm and like you're actually being supported, by the universe or by, I don't know, but you just feel, blissed out, really, really relaxed. It's really stressful being ill, not knowing what's wrong with you.
Yeah, and that is so true. We could talk literally for hours and hours on that subject. It's all about the effect of being in a stress state has on the body. So being in a healing state being the first key, what are the other key things that you found?
Determination. I mean, I did get to many, many points when I would want to give up. But, and obviously, or taking the option of suicide, is the ultimate thing of giving up. But, I still ultimately, even deep down in my darkest place, there was still something. There was still that voice in me. There was still that tiny part of me that was saying, you haven't tried everything yet. You really haven't. I mean, when I met you, it was sort of like, so tell me what it was like, sort of like, when you were sitting on a mountainside for 5 years in Tibet, sort of like, I did actually think of becoming a monk. I thought, well, I could be a monk, I could go into prison, I started to think of all these things that I could do, sort of like, would I be well if I did that? And I did, but I didn't think I'd be well enough to be a monk.
But I think you're alluding to a little joke that I have with people where they'll say, I've tried everything. Yeah. To which my slightly comical, attempting to be comical response is, what was it like on the mountain in Tibet? Because, there's what they probably haven't done is spent 30 years on a mountain meditating. I'm not saying that's the answer at all, but the point is there are so many things out there that we can do that people haven't had the time to do. And people say they've done everything. What they mean is they've tried a lot of things that haven't worked, and they don't want to be disappointed anymore. I think that's really where people are at.
Which would go into my third bit, which would be about faith, trust, and courage, because I just thought, I just dared to believe again. Because some people, I really had seen, I don't know how many people have told me they've got the cue. I saw people, I spent over £1,500 with one guy, I won't mention his name, who told me that he saw rich oil sheiks and people from America who turn up in limos and confided in me that he'd actually found the cure to cancer and AIDS, I think, as well. I mean, it's preposterous, but you just don't want to dare to believe. Now, I'd never been to see anybody who'd got better. Modelling was really important to me, because I just thought, well, if there's a lot of people who are ill, and we understand that, and there's a lot of money that goes into research on people who are ill. How many people really research people who get better? And I just thought, if I can spend as much time around people who are getting better, or have got better, or done something, then maybe I can learn something. Maybe I'll get better as well. But even if I just get 5 or 10% of doing what they did, find out what the recipe they did, and maybe that will work for me.
Yeah. That's also a kind of interesting point about modelling people that have got well, or people which are on the path to getting well, because that's also where this is so important.